I hope they settle. There's light in the end of the tunnel for us all. Well, it seems like the gacha space is about to get lawyered. Where it's not about video games that sell anime girls no more. Stuff got very serious over here. We got lawyers coming in, commenting. We have the one and only legal mindset going over the Saint Tontas versus Mr. Pokey copyright situation. We are in the mainstream, ladies and gentlemen. I'm genuinely curious what someone with a professional background in legal matters have to say when it comes to this. Without further ado, let's just have a listen. And if you enjoyed that type of video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. More of that coming here.
I guess I better go subscribe to VXV Gacha.
The Gacha Wars. We have a copyright battle.
He knows about the gacha wars, man. Man, legal mindset is so based. I'll be honest, like seeing the cross between the professional mannerism of a lawyer and internet brain rot is so satisfying to me, man.
Battle on YouTube between two creators, Mr. Pokey and Saint Tonas. We're gonna get into that today.
Oh, he literally picked "She's My Crazy Ex," man. Yo, legal mindset. Don't do that. Do not do that. God damn it, legal mindset.
Pokey and Saint Tonas. We're gonna get into that today, breaking down this copyright battle and what's going on there. Of course, on the legal mindset,
Thank God.
we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is a
America, man, America. Greatest country in the world. Hell yeah, brother.
fast facts video. And in this case, this is a case involving two.
Well, right off the bat, Mr. Legal Mindset, like, I'm sorry to report, but there's been a little issue here. That's not how you type gotcha. I'm gonna lawyer the lawyer, man. That's not that's not how you go about it.
Two different creators. Now, introduce you to the first one. The plaintiff in this case is Mr. Pokey, a Singaporean gacha.
Is it just me, or I think he chose this picture on purpose? He had Mr. Pokey looking like a little victim, man.
Content creator. So he is the plaintiff in this case because he's the one that actually struck the video. So he's the one that placed these strikes. So I'm going to put him in the plaintiff seat for today in the overall framing. And then the defendant is Saint Tontas. I'm going to
The man who apparently cannot use any other type of pose when it comes to his thumbnails, man. Like, just use something else. For fuck's sake, Saint.
call him Saints because I'm lazy, but he is the
Yeah, we all call him Saint because we're lazy. Tontas is too much.
one whose video was indeed struck. So we've got Mr. Pokey versus Saint in this gacha war. So Mr. Pokey and Saint Tontas are YouTube creators in the gacha space. And of course, if you're in any space, particularly where you're talking about different games and you have a lot of different opinions, you're going to have disagreements. In fact, passionate disagreements over the new game. And specifically, this boils down to criticism over the new game, Arc Knights Enfield, which is just came out in
Oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know the lore. Oh, legal mindset. There's more context to this, man. It's crazier than that.
January of this year. And of course, there's some pro, there's some anti here. And that's
Yes.
how this played out is, hey, one of them likes the game, one of them doesn't like the game. You know, the other one says, hey, you're a supporter of the game Wuthering Waves, so therefore you're not going to be a supporter of this new game. So there's an internal conflict here when it comes to that. And Mr. Pokey used that conflict and a bunch of quote unquote logical fallacies to mock Saint Tony.
Ooh, he knows about the odds of gacha. Well, where Professor Pokey has went over the fallacies that he himself used in approaching topics. Unfortunately, Mr. Pokey needs to do a better job. So anyway, it is what it is, chat.
Tontas in his video, The Art of the Gacha War, to which Saint Tontas responded with his own video, The Tragic Downfall of Mr. Pokey, reviewing
The tragic downfall of Mr. Pokey. What the fuck?
that video and rebutting that and kind of going through these things he calls logical fallacies and kind of making fun of him and also breaking those down in more of an analysis. And
Well, what's funny to me is like Mr. Pokey literally applies some of that same fallacies there. It's like, why? It's so crazy to me. Like, why are you trying to paint him like that shit is exclusive to him? You do the same shit too. Everybody does the same shit from time to time, especially when you have it out for someone. It's like, come on. Like, let's not have this moral high ground. You know what I mean?
That video, the tragic downfall of Mr. Pokey, was indeed the one that Mr. Pokey ended up striking on YouTube after its release. So over here, we can see the evidence of the copyright strike right here, which says we received a copyright removal request for your video based on applicable copyright law. We removed your video.
Wait, why target just this video? Oh, maybe he couldn't target the others. Shit.
Your channel received a strike. If you get 3 copyright strikes, your channel, along with associated channels, will be removed, subject to removal. So this is very important to note. Obviously, if you are a person who is covering someone religiously and they are able to get 3 strikes on you, that's a way they can get you and get your channel removed.
Yeah.
And some people can call that perhaps baiting. I guess if you're locked into a battle with somebody, this is something that can indeed happen. And over here, you see the remedy.
The way you circumvent that is simple. You take notes of everything they said and you cover it yourself. That's it. It's that simple.
Do nothing. Strike expires after 90 days. Request retraction or submit a counter notification. Deleting the video will not remove the strike. So those are your 3 options. So what happened? Mr. Pokey demands Santota Saint give a public apology, delete all videos mentioning him, and never speak about him again. And I'm just...
Oh, man. The boogeyman. Oh, that is putting a shotgun in someone's head. Man, Mr. Pokey is not messing around.
I was going to say for demands, those specific demands, okay, maybe an apology, I understand. But if you're in a space where there's disagreement, where there's fighting, where there's back and forth, where you're going to get into this, this is better, this is not. And understand with these gacha games, they can have indeed very complex systems. And there's a lot of argument about value, about the value of pulls, about what system is best. Is it a complex system with a lot of characters or whatever else? You could argue about the art. You could argue about the models.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to argue
the gameplay.
About in the gacha space. And that kind of makes it ripe for conflict. So I think saying, hey, look.
The problem is just that people take things way too seriously. It's not enough for conflict. It doesn't deserve conflict. It deserves, sure, a conversation about the critiquing, 100%, sure. But the way people take it and how far they go is obviously out of line. Like the fandoms get way too heated when it comes to those conversations, man.
You're never going to make a video about somebody else in the space. Kind of an unreasonable demand. However, Santona's responds with a counter notice and said he hired H3. H3's lawyer, a very, very accomplished and successful copywriter.
Dude, Saint doing that is probably has got to be one of the most based shit Saint has ever done. Like when I heard that, I was like, God damn. That is poetic.
Right, lawyer in the United States.
I'll be honest, man. Saint has a certain taste for poetry. You know what I mean?
States. And Mr. Pokey does go back and say he's committed to a lawsuit. We're going to look at those tweets. And allegedly, according to my information that I received, he hired a Singaporean lawyer. So we'll get into that being a little bit of a mistake. So,
well, he hired a Singaporean lawyer, I think, at first to understand kind of what his options are, and then he hired an American lawyer to continue with the follow-up of the entire situation.
Over here, you can see Mr. Pokey's posts that say, at every point of the road, you had the option to take the better path for yourself and everyone around you. Now you believe hiring a lawyer to draft a counter notification, not a lawsuit, will give you legal grounds to steal my content. I am prepared to give you an actual lawsuit. Sleep well. Well, this is very...
I really want him to talk about the steal content.
Interesting, because it seems to me reading this tweet that he just doesn't understand how the system works. And an actual lawsuit, well, what are you going to do? Like, are you trying to sue under Singaporean law, it sounds like? Because there's a big problem with that, and we're going to go into that. The next comment here is the aim for peaceful resolution or de-escalation has clearly been tossed out, as seen from his recent streams or videos. Saint, please do not treat my one act of kindness to you as a sign of weakness or bowing down for your forgiveness. Stating the peaceful resolution is me leaving the space. In my act of absolute good faith and kindness, feeling sorry for what happened to you, you decided to weaponize it and paint me as a gacha terrorist. When the time comes, I will quote you on your own words, no mercy. And a little bit of the context of this, there was a raid on some Discord servers with some material that was posted. Now, that has nothing to do with the legal scenario, but some
bunch of bad apples, not a lot of people, just a bunch of bad apples, rotten apples to the core, used even Mr. Pokey as Pokey's name and community to literally keep spreading illegal content in raiding Saint Tontas's Discord and Captain Cabinet's Discord. Horrible behavior, man.
there. So one thing I point out, de-escalation and peaceful resolutions are often the best result, not lawsuits, not going through the legal process. So anytime I see somebody throwing that out, I think they're really getting into an area that's over their heads. But let's get into the actual law and the way it breaks down with the YouTube system, because the YouTube system is very specific and it kind of covers the DMCA process. So when you have a YouTube copyright dispute, particularly one where you have a DMCA counter notification, proper venue, that's where the lawsuit is, where everything has to go down, is determined by U.S. federal copyright law.
Exactly. America, man, the greatest country in the world. You want a copyright right? You gotta do it in America.
And that doesn't matter where the parties are from. They can be from anywhere in the planet. Obviously,
that's why I feel like if you're not from America, just don't do it.
Mr. Pokey from Singapore, he could be
Feels
from
like a debuff.
Mali, he could be from South Sudan, he could be from Argentina. It doesn't matter. You've got to apply U.S. federal copyright law on a YouTube claim. Lawsuits must be brought in a federal court in the United States, a federal district court, regardless of where the parties reside. And when they are participating in the YouTube system, the notice and counter notice system, they're consenting to jurisdiction. So they're consenting to that US based jurisdiction. Usually you're going to bring that case in the federal district where the defendant resides, or in the Northern District of California, because, well, that's where YouTube is.
Okay. So they're going to do it in Cali. It's going down in Cali, boys. It's going down in Cali.
California. So the foreign law here, really to examine this, U.S. law is going to cover since it's a U.S. company. So Mr. Pokey, if he's talking about bringing a quote unquote real lawsuit and he's thinking about bringing a Singaporean lawsuit, well, that really is not going to apply U.S. law, and it's not going to have an enforceable judgment, because you can go and have some sort of lawsuit, and some countries allow this. Different countries are different, but in some countries you might even be able to quote unquote bring a lawsuit against somebody. Maybe they don't show up or they don't even bother fighting it, and you get some sort of judgment in that country. So maybe you have a judgment in, let's say, Romania, right? But that will not necessarily be enforced in other countries. Many countries will not enforce those, particularly as to civil judgments, because that law was not correctly applied. And in this case, it's very, very clear that U.S. law has to be applied. So in order to prevent the lawsuit, and prevent everything from being reposted, because eventually he's filed a counter notice, right? So he's filed the intention, right, and the willingness to fight back through a lawsuit. You can repost that information after a 10 to 14 day DMCA window, right? And you've got to post proof that you have put your claim in U.S. federal court and show that to YouTube. And if which
I think this is why he hired an American lawyer, so that he can do that. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's doing that with his American lawyer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Not able to do that, that's going to be a problem. Filing abroad, filing some Singaporean lawsuit is not going to meet the YouTube requirements. So then you get into, okay, so it's got to be in the US. Is it fair use? Now, this is a more complicated question. And without me picking apart the video and doing a hour-long or 2-hour-long review of a video that's been copyright struck and opening myself up to a copyright strike, we'll talk about it broadly. Fair use usually involves commentary and criticism. It's not enough to say, hey, I simply don't like critique. I don't like your talking about it. Therefore, you can't talk about it. That's not enough. Now, using someone's
that's not good.
video that does come in. Okay, you use someone's entire video. Is that transformative? Well, St. Totas and his position says he reacted for 1 hour and 22 minutes to a 20-minute video. Now, the judge could look at that differently, could say, well, you used all of it, or you didn't use clips, or whatever else. But there's a substantial amount that was added in terms of criticism and critique in response. The other thing they're going to look at is whether it's a market replacement for Mr. Pokey's original video. So let's look back.
This is very important. This is huge, actually, because did it replace it? As in, you basically stole it. You can react to a video, and if you don't do it properly, I think if you don't react to it early, which I think also Saint reacted to it too early, it could actually be considered somewhat like it replaced it in the market. It is possible. So this is something I think that could work for Pokey, if he can prove that it is indeed the case. But I don't know about that, because like a lot of YouTubers speak about the 48-hour rule. It's like, don't react to my shit only after 48 hours have passed, or else it starts hurting my own video. It's 24 hours. 24 hours now? Okay, so back in the day, I think it was 48. 24 hours? If that's the case, well, guess what? Saint, unfortunately, made a misplay there.
Dirty Denims, Frogan, and Casey Tron versus Ethan Klein. And did he make any statements saying, hey, I'm trying to steal viewers from Mr. Pokey, or this is intended as a replacement for Mr. Pokey? If he did, then that would be a problem. But if he was just...
He also would have streamed it even earlier than the video Saint uploaded. Ooh, that's a good point.
Issuing critique and commentary and without actively trying to subvert that market, I think that the court might look at that a little bit more favorably on Saint Tonta's side.
Okay, so intent matters a lot. I mean, Saint definitely went at it. Okay, well, hold on now. Something doesn't make any sense because the video is about Saint. Like, Saint is being used in the video where they can just pause frame to show it. I mean, how can he claim it's like a market replacement for it when it's literally Saint being used in the video? You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. The Art of Gacha War is technically a critique on Saint when you really think about it. So it's literally Saint reacting to a critique on him, if you think about it. Intent is important. Also, I think Mr. Poke can go for like an argument where copyright strike was a necessary step to defend himself. Then point out the malicious intent behind Saint's video and use past videos to establish a pattern of behavior. Ooh, true.
Saint Tonta's side. So as long as he wasn't going about that in a way akin to Denim's Casey Tron or Frogan, I think it might be looked more like critique. But of course.
Well, so here's the thing. It's like what Called Sub says earlier. Pokey can prove a pattern of behavior. And that's not bueno, I think, for Saint Tontas there.
This is the thing with fair use. Different judges can weigh the factors differently. So there could be a judge that says, hey, I don't like that you use the entire video, or I think you shouldn't have used this particular portion of the video. It might weigh that differently. But I think overall, looking at that, the fair use factors on their face tend to lean towards Saint. So let's go to the judgment. In my judgment, Saint Tontas has the current advantage as an American with a U.S. lawyer when fighting a Singaporean Mr. Pokey in court. He's got
of course he has an advantage in the sense of he's located in the U.S. So that works a lot in terms of the budgeting of it all.
Go and do all this work. He's got to hire the American lawyer. He's got to deal with U.S. law. And right now, it's not even clear whether he has re-engaged a U.S. lawyer instead of a Singaporean lawyer. And the fair use factors do lean in favor of Saint just broadly, but judges can rule differently and they can rule the way they want. So,
oh, fuck. So we have to win this 50-50, chat.
Rule the way they want. So you've got to really leave the door open for anything to happen if it actually slugs out. Of course, that's very costly. And therefore, my really final conclusion is both of these parties, Mr. Pokey and Saint, are really better sitting down, calming down, and coming to a non-legal resolution. But I will say to Mr. Pokey, expecting one party not to ever comment on another again, saying, hey, don't talk about me again. Keep my name out your mouth. That is not a reasonable expectation or generally
Base. There it is. Like, that is not reasonable at all. This is what fair use is. This is what having a public space like YouTube means. The moment you're on the internet, you're opening yourself up to criticism. You have a take over something, you're opening yourself up to criticism. The moment you do that, there's this unspoken rule that applies. That's it. That's too much. That's too much. Like, I think what would be a great resolution, man, I'll be real, is a settlement. Oh, I found it, chat. The way we can all win. The way everybody can win. I'll be honest, chat. This is my prediction. They're gonna settle. This doesn't make any sense for it to keep going. Now, what that settlement is gonna be key. I want Saint destroyed in court. I'll be honest, chat. I don't want no one destroyed in court. If we reach non-settlement, I don't want Mr. Pokey to like lose all his money and all his efforts for nothing. Like, that's just sad. He may be a snake or a rat or a douchebag, but I don't think that's something you want to see someone. You don't want that to happen to someone. You know what I mean? That's just too much. He didn't have proper behaviors in certain shit. He loses some respect, but ultimately, I don't think he deserves to lose his money like that, pushing for something that he believes is right. You know what I mean? That's a line for me personally. I'll be real. I think that's way too much. You can dislike someone, but I feel like when it comes to certain things, like their bread, and for it to just go on nothing and for them to be hurt financially just for your own satisfaction, I'll be real, that's a little too much. That's a little too much. That's a line for me personally. Considering we were talking about gacha games, like, for sake, like, can we bring it back to that? We'd really appreciate it, boys. It's not about the gacha games. Stop it with that narrative. It's a joke. Relax. I'm joking. I know what this is about. Shit is too real with all you Mr. Poke boys.
expectation or generally an enforceable expectation on the internet, absent some other circumstance.
Or rather, I'm making light of the situation. It's like I'm trying to lighten it up a bit. It's like, come on, guys. We were originally talking about gacha games. Let's try to go back to that. All right, can we do that? But obviously, I'm aware that this shit has reached critical mass not because of gacha games. Everybody keeps telling me this shit. They're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Stop saying this. It's not this. I'm messing around. Okay, well, hold on. When you really step back, it is because of gacha games, because these boys wouldn't have even met if it wasn't for gacha games. Therefore, my joke is actually correct. Would this be happening if gacha games weren't a thing in the equation? Would they even be making content? Would they have met? So I stand by that. It is factually correct. It may be me poking fun of the situation and trying to make light of the situation. It is technically correct.
Not a situation where we're dealing with something like a death threat or a threat of physical harm, right? So this is a situation in which someone is giving critique. And if your position is, don't critique me ever again, generally that's not something that's going to be enforced or held up in court. But I want to know what
Yeah, so here it is. But here's the thing. Since he set precedent against Saint Tontas, it's basically implied. If Mr. Pokey wins, Saint Tontas has no more choice. He has no choice but to comply with that. Because if you don't, he literally has you by the balls, because in court, you have lost to him once for that exact same shit. Pokey could just do it again, and he'll keep taking your money. That's right. I think Legal Mindset kind of failed to see that here. It's like, yes, well, it may not be a enforceable thing by the law. Due to the result of it all, Saint has no more choice at that point. It is literally career suicide if he were to keep doing it, because there's literally precedent and he could just keep kicking his ass using the same old precedents.
you guys think about this and the gotcha war of Mr. Pokey versus Saint Tontas. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next.
Hey, we appreciate your Legal Mindset shit. We actually have massive day for the unemployed, man. So that was Legal Mindset's take, a general outlook on the entire situation. Clearly, there are certain details missing from the entire ordeal, which kind of make or break certain points Legal Mindset has highlighted. Like I said earlier myself, as we are going over what Legal Mindset is saying. So, yeah, I'm genuinely curious on what Mr. Pokey and St. John Chas's takes are going to be vis-a-vis this entire Legal Mindset thing. But one thing is for sure, our boys being up there in the mainstream, not for the right reasons, to be honest with you, shouldn't be because of this, is definitely interesting. I really find it interesting. I hope they settle. That is my hope. I hope they settle. They find an amicable resolution through lawyers that can finally talk sense into them. And I'm very hopeful when it comes to that, because lawyers tend to be very professional. They tend to know how to de-escalate situations. And yeah, it's I think there's light in the end of the tunnel for us all. I know Mr. Pokey is not a fan of mine, and I know I'm not a fan of his, but I do want what's best for everybody in the end. Hey, I do not want harm and ultimately someone to lose their money and something they worked very hard for over a case that could end up losing and not even get what they want in the end of the day. And even someone just keep defending himself from this. I think this is exhausting for both parties. I think this entire situation is unfair to both parties. It should end amicably, and hopefully the lawyers can talk some sense through a legal settlement to resolve this one for all. Because to be honest with you, this has to end, and hopefully it can end in a way that doesn't harm fair use. That's going to be my take. Like, comment, subscribe. Be seeing you.